Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for May 17th. May 17th is the 137th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 138th in leap years, with 228 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is repugnant. Repugnant is an adjective that means distasteful, offensive, or objectionable. This word comes to us from Old French and Latin before that, and ultimately from an Indo-European root word, from which we also get the words point, puncture, pungent, punctual, pounce, impugn, pugilist, and pugnacious. Earliest documented use of the word repugnant is 1425. And with that, we're going to start in the 1500s today. A man named Alessandro de Mariano di Vanni Filippi was an artist you might have heard of if you're interested in classical art or art history, but he's better known by the name Sandro Botticelli. He's known for his mythological and religious subjects: the birth of Venus, Primavera, the mystical Nativity, and the Madonna of the Magnificat. He did a lot of works in a round format known as tondo. And these are large round pieces like feet across. Beautiful work Botticelli did. I'm glad he lived and I'm glad he painted. Sandro Botticelli died on May 17, 1510, when he would have been about 64 or 65 years old. Now, the other day, in the episode for May 14th, I got all excited about a story about a witch trial in 1878. Now, this was a complete surprise to me because the original Salem witch trials took place in the 1600s. So I was shocked to see a story about a witch trial some 200 or so years later. Well, I have a little bit more information about that today. It seems that the defendant, Daniel Spofford, we're going to get a little backstory here, had become interested in the teachings of a woman known as Mary Baker Eddy. She had a different last name then. She got married while she knew Daniel. She was the founder of the Christian Science faith. Now, he took her course and graduated sufficiently to teach the material. And Mrs. Eddy wrote a book called Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, the publication of which was financed by a couple of other students while Spofford acted as publisher. The first publication of this book was 1875, and as they were getting ready to publish the second edition 2 years later in 1877, Spofford and Eddy somehow came to some sort of disagreement over the terms of publication. Eventually, Spofford was expelled from the Association of Christian Sciences for the reason of immorality, and Eddy attempted to sue him over a financial matter, but she lost that suit. Things just went from bad to worse between Spofford and Eddy, and they parted ways. Now, more or less concurrently along this time, a woman named Lucretia Brown enters the picture. She'd experienced a spinal injury as a child, and this left her disabled. And upon following the tenets of Christian Science, she said she'd been healed. Unfortunately, she suffered a relapse in 1877 and again in 1878, which is when the conflict between Mary Baker Eddy and Daniel Spofford was really heating up. And somehow Ms. Brown got it in her mind that Daniel Spofford was somehow responsible for her relapse, claiming that he was practicing mesmerism, somehow to interfere with the minds and bodies of others, and that he was doing so to her. This matter was brought to court and happened to be heard in Salem. Certain sensationalists likened this alleged power and ability of mesmerism to witchcraft and presented the court proceedings in the news as a Salem witchcraft trial. Fortunately, the judge was well versed in actual law, and on May 17, 1878, he dismissed this case on the basis that the claim was vague, the complaint was framed without the knowledge of the law of equity, and furthermore, the court ruled that If Brown's claims were true, it was unclear how the alleged mental control could be stopped, even if Spofford were imprisoned. One observer described this trial as one of the most bizarre courtroom sessions ever held in the United States. Day before yesterday was the birthday of author L. Frank Baum, and on this day, May 17th, 1900, his novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, was published in the United States. On May 17, 1954, the United States Supreme Court handed down a unanimous decision in Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, outlawing racial segregation in public schools. Televised hearings on the Watergate scandal began in the United States Senate on May 17, 1973. A man named Nolan Bushnell opened the first Chuck E. Cheese restaurant in San Jose, California on May 17, 1977. There was one not far from where we lived when my kids were growing up, and they sure enjoyed going over there. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoyed this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that is called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.